Welcome back to Chaos Corner. It's your old buddy. It's me. It's the G.O.C. I'll say that to say this because I tell it like it is. 20 feet below the surface of the earth. Here to bring you the review of Night 7, Round 1. What an unbelievable night of twists and turns. It was supposed to be a night of elimination matchups. But you know that with Avi Klein, it was an unbelievable event that you're not going to want to miss. Now, I want you to follow me on all social media platforms, and that's Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube here on the Guardian of Chaos YouTube channel, and of course, my good buddy, Jay Brony, over on Facebook. Now, fans, I'm feeling a little bit better, although I'm still working under injuries, because you know what? Once we recap and review what happened on Night 7, Round 1, the Green Room Tournament rolls on into Night 8, Round 1. It's going to be a night of unbelievable matchups, but I want to focus here today. It's going to be an unbelievable recap. Don't go anywhere. We're going to put in at least an hour here. I have a lot of news and notes, and you know what you do when you're here with the Guardian of Chaos. You put pen to paper. I'm old school. This is what I do. This is what you would get if I was the host of the Green Room. Avi Klein, 64-person, single elimination bracket-style tournament. That's right. And you're not going to want to miss this. So sit back. Relax. We're not going to go crazy here. Listen, I'm still on the DL. But I'm ready, Pinocchio Joe, for an unprecedented fourth matchup in Green Room history. We all know that the Green Room started on September 12th, 2020. We know that this tournament started on May 8th of 2021. It's unbelievable. Wait, how could that be? May 8th of 2020. You get where I'm going here with the gist. Don't you dare miss it. Stay here. Night 7, Round 1. All social media platforms. All right, fans. Welcome back. Kick back and relax. We're going to cover the Green Room tournament. I know you're all going to want to see what happened. There were 8 big matchups. I'll give a quick opening monologue here, and we'll get right to the task at hand because we have a lot to cover here for the WWAB Podcast Network. And look, already 3 minutes in the spittle. That's how exciting it was for Night 7, Round 1. All right, hold on. All right, let me lower. I get it. You're saying, look at you, Chaos. Look at you. G.O.C. Kirkland Esquire. G.O.C. Esquire. It doesn't matter what you're going to say. The Guardian of Chaos. Look, you're unshaven. You're still not 100% recovered. You're down here in the bunker, 20 feet in the bowels of the earth, but you're still a taskmaster. I want everyone to take note. If I advance into round 2, if I, for some unbelievable miracle, because it's going to be not just based on talent, because we know I have that already, that I make it to the finals of the Green Room tournament, this is what you would get. Dedication, entertainment personified, injuries or not, near poisonings or not, near death matches or not, whatever you want to call it, battle of wits, it doesn't matter. That's what you would get, but let's get on to the task at hand. I don't want to try to make this into 2 parts because I have to prepare myself for this Saturday night live for Night 8, Round 1. We'll get on to that. That'll be in that's in the windshield. Let's look at what just happened in the rear view mirror. Let's go back to the future, so to speak. So we start off with unbelievable Pete from Sharpie. You know he's always lurking in the shadows. Night 7, Round 1, he gives a brief recap, and then there's the opening. Okay, Pete covers the incredible, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks ago, the incredible Night 6 that was the Green Room tournament with all the infamous stars that were on. Is it infamous or famous when someone does things good? I guess that would be, do you get the gist? That was the night of Mark Henry. That was the night of Tommy Davidson. That was the night of Rick Barry. That was the night of Stephen Tobolowsky. That was an unbelievable. That was the night of the main event was a super assistant Alex and Dahlia Jubilee. What an unbelievable night that was. We mentioned earlier all the people that have advanced on to the second round. Listen, there's been almost 300 people in the green room. There's been 64 competitors here. It's going to be slashed in half to 32 competitors. The brackets are filling up. I don't know where I'm going to be if I make it out. I just don't know. So you're going to have to stay tuned because like it showed in night 7, as we get on with the recap here, all your live votes matter. And the votes rolled in. I don't know what the official numbers will be. I'm sure it was at least 1 million viewers live on Facebook, Twitch, soon to be on YouTube for the WWAB Podcast Network. The votes rolled in. Now, I was watching from an undisclosed location. Not too far from here, but my buddy, Jay Brony, was live in the chat room. He reported to me. He voted. I took note of who voted for who on night 7. So let's get on to the task. Again, I say it all the time. Let's get on to the task at hand. Pete with the recap of the unbelievable night 6. And once again, Avi Klein, the producer extraordinaire, the writer, the author, the filmmaker, 15 years at Lionsgate, all the different experience he's had, even in the pro wrestling world. The short films, videos, if you will, that he opens up with are second to none. They could be nominated. I've said it on, I think this is show number 13 here from Chaos Corner, covering the Green Room Tournament. Preview and review shows, and I say it all the time about it, and it's gotten even better. I'll give you credit, Saturday Shine Klein. That should be your permanent name for the Green Room. Saturday Shine Klein. Mr. Milky Fine Klein. And, you know, if you saw the last show, you want to know, we're going to come up with how many different Kleins you have been, one Avi Klein. But I'll give you credit. We give the devil his due because those short films, trailers, whatever you want to call them, are second to none, and they are award-winning worthy. They have to be out there. They got to be put in film festivals. That's just my opinion coming from the G.O.C. Kirkland Esquire. And I'll say that to say this because I tell it like it is. Let's get on. After the short film, we'll call it, here he comes, Saturday Shine Klein, and he opens up as he usually does, and this is where you see the versatility of Klein. I have to say it. Although we still have this banter, this feeling, this animosity, not on my side, on your side, Klein, because you fired the first shots, whether you were intimidated, not intimidated, wanted to puff out your chest, whatever it was, I'll give you credit. He opens up, he's a 5-tool player, a very talented man, Avi Klein. He opens up with a poem. Who knew? And he introduces it, covering all the different competitors and aspects and running down what is about to occur on night 7, round 1. Again, Avi Klein could be the poet laureate. Besides being the Wizard of Oz here, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain here on the Green Room on the WWAB. So let's get on. Unbelievable film montage, as I said, into a poem, a recapping and previewing and reviewing what's about to occur. And we start off, once again, I've said it on all the other previous shows of the previews and reviews here from Chaos Corner, covering the WWAB network. He opens up hot and heavy. Again, it's about placement. It's about storytelling. It's about sucking in the audience. You talk about a cross between SNL and One Life to Live, or as I always say, just to prove a point, a General Hospital and SCTV. Do your research. Do your homework. That's what you get. So, and even in the placement lineup, in whether it be a sporting event or a pro wrestling card, the lineup, the marquee, if you will, even if you go to a theater or a Broadway play, you always get your lineup, your program. And it's always nice to start off hot and heavy with the storytelling. That's how you get the audience to come in, the viewers. They spread the word. Before you know it, it's out there on all social media platforms, live. And before you know it, everyone starts coming in, and that's where the votes come in. And that's why I always say it, and I'll continue to say it. All your live votes matter on this platform. There's a lot of things coming down the pike. We're going to run through the 7 days a week live lineup at some point here, whether it be at the beginning or the end. Let's get on to night 7. I'm trying not to make this too long and go too winded here. Too long-winded. You got that. So we start off again, hot and heavy, as I said. The program director at the Green Room is doing an unbelievable job. The program director at the WWAB Podcast Network. Maybe I can get a job somewhere. I don't know. Second round, it's filling up. We start off with the pastor versus the patriot. And now you know that Patriot Del Wilkes from Unmasking the Truth every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, along with Avi Klein. It's an unbelievable podcast, an unbelievable show. I don't have to tell you about Del Wilkes' past in WCW, the WWE, New Japan, All Japan, his illustrious career from Florida to Championship Wrestling to South Carolina Gamecocks. We know the connection. Hey, Del even talks the North Carolina State baseball team. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. A true patriot. His morals, his convictions, what he believes, his research. When he speaks, he knows what he's talking about. That would be the Patriot Del Wilkes against the pastor, who's up 1-0. Listen, Andy McDaniel, talk about a man of faith and conviction and family and determination, motivation and inspiration. Andy McDaniel, I say it on here all the time. This is what you get in the Green Room. This is what Avi starts off with. Andy is up 1-0, the pastor, if you will. He is also, again, I said on the last show, Wrestling with Faith is his segment on Del Wilkes' show, Unmasking the Truth with Avi Klein. You see how, the tangled web we weave and how it's interwoven in the fabric of this matchup. We've already talked about Andy's associations and connections with faith and family and even the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. I say it all the time. I'm going to continue to run it down as if this was your first show. That's what we do here in Chaos Corner. That's what you would get if I was the host. Remember that when you're voting. Oh, thank you, fans. I appreciate your support. Listen, it's been a while, but I'm coming back. 4th of July weekend. There'll be no Independence Day. Well, that's another story. Let's get on with night 7. So we know that the pastor, making it simple and always keeping it simple, is up 1-0 against the Patriot Del Wilkes. We know the connection. So here we go, Wrestling with Faith. Andy McDaniel is always on Unmasking the Truth. This could be an elimination matchup if Andy McDaniel wins these challenges. He'll sweep. Del Wilkes will be, as Avi Klein says, yes, Avi, I'm going to steal a line, persona non grata. Persona non grata, however you want to say it. Here's the first challenge. It's promos. The first challenge is Andy McDaniel, and here it is. We know this is 2 out of 3, but this could be an elimination if we get swept. Here's the challenge. Why will Del be swept 2-0 using these following words? Again, I don't know where Klein comes up with it. Saturday Shine, Klein. I don't know where you come up with it. I really don't. It makes me scratch my head, grab my dome piece. If you know what I'm talking about, Richard Craney. So here are the words that Andy has to use. Why will Del be swept 2-0 using these words? Peanut butter, Charlie Brown, Windex, and Bullfrog. Yes, these are the notes that were handed to me of the tournament. Peanut butter, Charlie Brown, Windex, and Bullfrog. Andy knocks it out of the box. I'll give him credit. On his feet. Now, these questions and these events and these challenges are not pre-posted, put up in the locker room, emailed to anyone, texted, messaged, inboxed, none of the above. The competitors have no idea of what Avi Klein, and for these purposes, Saturday Shine Klein is going to come up with. No idea. This is all basically, you want to say what it is, it's all improv because nobody is forewarned about what the challenges will be and what the subjects would be. Even if you knew the challenge, you don't necessarily know the subject. So the first challenge, again, we said peanut butter, Charlie Brown, Windex, and Bullfrog, but Andy McDaniel did it. I'll give him credit. In turn, Del Wilkes in the promo challenge, why Andy will not come out victorious. That's what Del has to come up with. And here's the words for Del Wilkes. Why will Andy not come out victorious tonight? Or night 7 for these purposes. You know, look, see what's happening here at Chaos Corner. We got to keep these on. It represents life. It represents who I am. Stand by. So we go on, and this is what Del's words are. Del has to use the words Abe Lincoln, unicycle, George Foreman, and Rhino. I'm going to say it again. Abe Lincoln, unicycle, George Foreman, and Rhino. And Del Wilkes, the way he is, witty, a man, very linguistic, if you will. Del knocks it out of the box. It was an unbelievable challenge. I don't know where Avi Klein comes up with the producing team, the writing team. Who does this? He does it himself. He's a screen. Listen, that's what Avi Klein does. We go on to the next challenge. For Andy McDaniel, the pastor, if you will, for these purposes, on the Yankees, this is the subject for the promo. Why were they overrated while doing your best to stay awake? That's the promo. So the pastor has to give a promo on the Yankees and why they're overrated while he's doing his best to stay awake. Now, we know what happened to me on night 5, but that's neither here nor there. So that's the promo. And again, the pastor is a 5-tool player. He can do everything from law enforcement to life coaching, to being a pastor, to being a competitor here on the green room. He did a very good job. In turn, the Patriot, Del Wilkes, why Clemson should shut down the program. Now, you know, Avi's tickling the pickle there on that one. Why would you say that about Clemson? Because the whole South Carolina, I get it. Is that a shot at, I don't know, David Holliday? The main event? Well, we'll get on to that later on. Anyway, Del Wilkes, why Clemson should shut down the program. And now Del has to do that in this promo while doing his taxes. And we know there's 2 things in life that are guaranteed, and taxes are one of them. So Del Wilkes knocks it out of the box in these promo challenges. Very creative. Remember, now this could be an elimination or Del Wilkes could tie it up. Let's roll on here with the coverage of Night 7, Round 1 of the Green Room Tournament. We go to the votes on the promo challenge. Here comes Pete from Sharpie. Now, you know he's heavily involved in the green room now. Pete from Sharpie as the national sponsor. He role plays. He's been a competitor. He's a judge. We know all that. He hit the great reset on all this. So here we go to the Avi Klein obviously also votes. And yes, you, the fans, as I say all the time, all your live votes matter. Be involved, interactive. That's what it's all about. So we go to the votes. Pete votes for the Patriot, Del Wilkes. Avi votes for the Patriot, Del Wilkes. So the fans at this point didn't even come into play, and now Del is up 1-0 in the Night 7 challenges. We go to the second challenge, which is a debate. Avi pulls out the debate challenge. Now, Andy McDaniel goes first and has to say and come up with and debate why Justin Bieber is the greatest. Now, if you could have seen the pastor's face on this one, but listen, talk about over-adapting, overcoming it, and it was really incredible. I will say that. So why Justin Bieber was the greatest of all time. In turn, right in his wheelhouse, right up the Patriots' alley, Del Wilkes has to give a debate, so to speak, on why the Beatles were the greatest. Now, both of these guys covered the subject well. Of course, Andy with Justin Bieber. Del, the Beatles was right in his wheelhouse. This could have been set up. I'm just saying. I don't know. We go to the votes. Now, Pete from Sharpie votes for Pastor Andy. Avi votes for Del Wilkes. Now, it's up to the fans, and again, Night 7 was incredibly active. There were so many votes that were coming in from all 39 pages, and it's 46 or 47 or 49 if you count all the different hosts from the 7 days a week podcast. An hour and a half to 2 hours a day live, 7 days a week. Where else do you get that? The votes came in hot and heavy on all those pages. It was going Andy, Del, Pastor Andy, Del Wilkes, the Patriot, Andy, Del, Andy, Del. And the fans voted for the Patriot, Del Wilkes. I don't know what came into play, but now Del is up 2-0 on Night 7. Now remember, the next thing here is it's worth double. This could be an elimination, or this is the final challenge. This is the third and final challenge, and Del now is up 2-0 in tonight. And remember now, the pastor is up 1-0 in the best of 3 series. Pay attention to what you're supposed to do here. Pay attention. So it's worth double. The third challenge is Eternal Questions. The pastor, Andy McDaniel, he's one tough customer. He's no one to be trifled with. He's a man of faith. Here it is for Andy. What is the greatest city in South Carolina? And you have to start the question with a question. That's the challenge. It's an eternal question, Avi quotes it. The greatest city in South Carolina, and you have to start the question with a question, and then Del has to respond. So you go back and forth. It's kind of like the alphabet game that you've seen in the past that Duke, G.O.C, and Rich Masadi played, and we'll get on to that matchup, which was the main event of Night 7. So that's the gist of the eternal questions. And you start a question with a question. So Andy goes, the greatest city in South Carolina is, boom. Del responds, and they go back and forth. I'm not going to quote word for word. I'm giving you the good, the bad, the ugly here on Night 7, round 1. Del comes back, why are you bald-headed, as his answer. Now they have to keep responding, going back and forth. It really was something. At one point, Pete from Sharpie comes in. I don't know what happens on this that's worth double. So that, you know what that means. If it's worth double, that means if, even though Andy is down 2-0 tonight, he could come back, and if he wins this challenge or is voted this challenge, ties it up for the night, and it's tied again. Out of nowhere, Del starts getting a little salty, if you will, a little cantankerous. I don't know, maybe he had too much coffee. I don't know. I mean, he does get heated and emotional and passionate. I'm not here to insult the Patriot. All of a sudden, he gets disqualified out of nowhere. That's why you never know what could happen in the green room. He gets disqualified for being insulting as they play the question with the question game. Listen, I'm not making this up. This is what was reported. And this was worth double here on the Eternal Questions third challenge. Now, Del has been disqualified before. He was disqualified in Japan, disqualified in the WCW, disqualified in the WWE, and he was disqualified here in the Green Room Tournament. So that's what happened as we roll on here. Now, with that being said, wait. It's tied 1-1 now because Del wins, because it was Andy that... Now, you gave me the wrong notes, Jay. You gave me the wrong notes. I watched it live. I'm talking to you, yes. Andy was disqualified for insults. How could that be? That's the mix-up here. How can on the Wrestling with Faith and the pastor Andy McDaniel be disqualified? So now it's tied 1-1. Del Wilkes wins. Is this accurate? Could somebody tell me? Avi, leave a comment, share this, post it, make a comment, do something with this. That's what happened in the third challenge. Andy McDaniel, the pastor, got disqualified. Could this be true? The chains are tightening up here. They're really tightening up down here. Is this accurate? And now Del Wilkes wins, and it's tied 1-1 in the best of 3. So there is no elimination. There is no sweep by the pastor. There's got to be something wrong here. Andy McDaniel was disqualified? I'm going to research that. I'm going to check that. That's what I have here, tied at 1-1. So there is no elimination. Del Wilkes, the Patriot, ties it up, and we move on to a third matchup in the best of 3 between the pastor and the Patriot. Somebody get back to me on this, because I'll say that to say this, because I want to be able to tell it like it is. Wow. Talk about the way Avi throws this together. It doesn't get any hotter than that. More controversial. It's rumor, speculation, innuendo. Andy McDaniel and Del Wilkes tied 1-1. Let's move on. Another great, unbelievable video montage. We have Tugboat Typhoon, a.k.a. Fred Ottman, versus Adam Bomb, Feel the Wrath of a.k.a. Brian Clark, a man who served this country. Now it's tied 1-1. I've said it before, and Jay Brony said it in the chat because he screenshotted it and sent it to me. The irresistible force meets the immovable object here on the green room. The second matchup of the night, Tugboat versus Adam Bomb. The first challenge by Avi Klein, again, the video montage, because Avi has each separate one for each competitor. All 64 of the competitors, and moving forward, have each video montage, trailer, if you will, short film specifically made for them, whether it's insulting or not, or it's true to form, or there's little jabs or subliminal messages. That's on Avi Klein and his team, and Avi in particular. And for these purposes, Saturday Fine Klein for night 7, round 1 of the tournament. So we move on. We know the series is tied 1-1. So this is an elimination matchup. Here it is. This is it. Elimination. One of these two behemoths, one of these two legends from that industry, from the pro wrestling world, will be eliminated. Here we go. The first challenge is the improv. Don't correct me, Jay. Just find out about what happened with the pastor and the Patriot. That's the perfect time here to take a break. Yeah, you see, I'm in rough shape, but I'm ready. Let's find out about the Patriot and the pastor, please. That's not shtick. I need to know for sure. I watched this. I don't believe it about Andy McDaniel being disqualified. Listen, I want to see a third matchup between those two as it is myself, but let's get on to this third matchup of Tugboat and Adam Bomb. Thank you. I appreciate that. We get back to that, and the first challenge Avi comes up with was an improv. Here's the scene. And Tugboat Typhoon, the Shockmaster, the B-A-double-D, if you will, if you watch his promos, he's going to go first. Now, Fred has to start talking about the greatest quarterback. The scene is Fred and Brian are both in a diner having breakfast. So Fred has to start talking about the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. In turn, Brian has to respond by playing air guitar. Where does he come up with this stuff? Could someone tell me? And then, of course, there's going to vote. We know that Pete and Avi are voting. The fans, all your live votes matter. So that's the scene. In a dinner, having breakfast, while playing air guitar, Brian Clark. It was pretty funny. Even Avi was cracking up. A lot of votes. The fans were pouring in. Second matchup, hot and heavy, Fast and Furious to open up the green room night 7. So that really was, they played off each other very well. It was very creative. We go to the vote for the first scene of the improv challenge. Pete votes for Brian Clark in his reference to the air guitars. Avi also votes for Brian Clark. So right out of the box, Adam Bomb is making you feel the wrath. He's up 1-0 on night 7. We go to the second scene. Their boys are at the gym, and they're talking about their favorite movies. That's right, the boys are at the gym, pumping iron, talking about their favorite movies. Now, here we go. That's the scene. Brian starts off talking about his favorite movies, and Fred responds while shouting angrily. Now, you know, the both of these guys, again, they're behemoths. I already said it before, so Fred with that voice and his promos, if you've seen them, I mean, they're... you understand what I'm talking about. So they go back and forth. It really was an unbelievable scene, too, and Ottman knocks it out of the box. So we go to the judges. Pete votes Fred. Avi votes Fred. We're tied 1-1 on the improv challenge. So let's go to the scene. Here's the third scene. You're on the phone with your buddy, your boy, your brother, so to speak, and you're talking about your favorite band, your favorite concert, your favorite music. So Fred starts off with talking about his favorite bands. In turn, you got it, not term. In turn, Brian Clark has to respond by talking in slow motion. I'll say it again while talking on the phone. Tugboat's talking about his favorite music. In turn, Adam Bomb has to respond in slow motion. We go to the judges. We go to the votes. Now, Pete votes Brian. Avi votes Brian. It was an unbelievable slow-mo challenge. It really was. I'll have to say scene 3 there was something. I believe Jay might have brought it for Brian, too. Now, Brian Clark is up 2-1 in the improv challenge. We go to the 4th challenge. Here's the scene. You're in the mall, maybe at the food court. I mean, I don't know where you would be. You're in the mall. You go and shop. I don't know where you're going in the mall. Maybe you're in a scene from the movie Blues Brothers. That's a subliminal message. Let's see who picks up on that as we're 30 minutes in here to night 7, round 1. So here's the scene. You're in the mall talking about your favorite food amongst your brothers. So Brian starts off with talking about his favorite foods. And now Fred, a.k.a. Tugboat, he's very emotional in his response. And over the top. And to see a 350-pounder, 400-pounder at 6'5", nearly break down in the green room, that was priceless in itself. I have to say, and Brian Clark, thank you for serving this country. You look tremendous, Brian. Can I tell you that? Unbelievable. So here we go. We go to the videotape. We go to the votes. Pete votes Fred. Avi, in turn, votes Fred. It's unbelievable what happens. You see the trend. It's now tied 2-2 in the improv challenge between Tugboat and Adam Bomb. That's what you get on the green room, the competition, because everybody wants to be in the green room. So 2-2 here. Let's continue to roll. We continue with Tugboat and Adam Bomb. Here's the promo challenge. Up first, now it's usually, as you know, Avi, very creative in this, comes up with something that's related to the competitor. As usually a who, what, where, why, when, so to speak, and then you have to cut the promo on it. Now, he'll give you a chance to have your notes or have something nearby. If you're smart enough and paying attention, don't you think you should have a pen and paper or notes or something nearby, a beverage, maybe a snack, while you're on the green room? Competitors, are you listening? Is anybody paying attention? You know, TV's off. I'm not throwing shots. I'm just saying what Jay Brony said it, not me. Subliminal messages. So here we go. Brian Clark on July 8th at the Phoenix Suns Arena in a street fight against Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. No, wait, no, I don't want him to appear. See, I said it 4 times. That's why he didn't appear. So Clark cuts an unbelievable promo. In turn, Tugboat has to cut his promo, and it's July 12th at the Amway Center. An empty arena match against, yes, one wax on, wax off. Ralph Macchio, a.k.a. the Karate Kid. It really was incredible to hear those guys cut promos. Who's better than that? I think I did something over here, Jay. Give me an ice pack, please. Thank you. So unbelievable. Those guys cut unbelievable, incredible promos. That's promo 101 right there in the industry. So we go to the votes. We go to our judges, Pete from Sharpie and Avi. Now, Pete votes for Tugboat. In turn, Avi votes for Adam Bond, a.k.a. Brian Clark. Now it's up to the fans. Again, it was a big night on night 7. The votes came pouring in. Tugboat, Adam Bomb, Typhoon, Wrath, the Shockmaster, Brian Clark, Fred, Brian, Fred, Tugboat, Adam Bomb. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, dead even on the fans' votes. You can't make it up. That's why I say it all the time. All your live votes matter every Saturday night live. The Green Room, the WWAB Podcast Network. The fans really came out in droves last night. I can't imagine what the numbers would have been, but I know they're solid and consistent. 1 million, 1.5 million, not even a year on the air. Unbelievable what's happening in the Green Room in the WWAB Podcast Network. So here we go. Now, Avi is coming up. Always spin the wheel, make the deal. You never know what's going to happen on a Saturday night in the Green Room. Avi comes up with, there was a brief second there. He's going to read the last comment, and whatever the last comment is, that's going to be what's going to happen as far as the tournament, and that's why all the fans and all your comments and live votes matter. We say it all the time. You see it in the post, you see it in the shares, and that's what it's all about. So the last comment says, and Pete comes in from Sharpie, the national sponsor, another judge, and says, it's binding. And it's binding. And the last comment was, I don't know who it was. I don't know. It could have been Taekwon, Lucinda. I don't know who it was. Well, who knows who it could have been. But somebody said that both of them should move on to the round 2. That means this series, which was tied at 1-1, which was an elimination matchup between Tugboat and Adam Bomb, Fred Ottman and Brian Clark. The last comment, Avi's always changing the damn rules on the Green Room. Somebody said they should both move on to round 2 because they have star power. They're both good looking. They both cut good promos. Whatever the comment was. But they both moved on to round 2. Pete said it's binding. That's what it was. That's what you got on night 7. So now both men, Fred Ottman and Brian Clark, move on to round 2. The brackets are filling up. We continue on here at night 7, and again, an incredible star power matchup. 2 guys that go back to the old days of the Jersey Shore. And maybe Bar A, maybe they hung out with DDP or Bam Bam Bigelow, or who knows who they hung out with on the Jersey Shore. But they certainly ran together from the small time to the big time. And so we know the history. And you listen to them every Tuesday night at 5:30 on the WWAB with Avi Klein. And that would be one Bill DeMott and Face Value. On the network, one of the most incredible shows. He's going up against his old buddy, as I said, and you fans know him from all the different big promotions from WCW and on down. And that would be Crowbar, Devon Storm, whatever you want to call him. You know what it is in the history between these two. You know how Bill DeMott, for these purposes, Hugh Morris, the funny man, the question mark. I know one thing for sure on night 7. Bill DeMott was pissed. He was heated. He was over the top. He was no one to be trifled with. You want to talk about... Bill DeMott was back in rare form, and throughout the whole matchup, now this is the third matchup of the night, throughout the whole matchup, Bill DeMott is pissed, full of piss and vinegar, as I said. I don't care about the censorship, the sponsors. I'm going to put this out there. This will be up under the review show. Throughout the whole matchup, he's trying to hurry it up. He's business-like. He doesn't want to hear it. He's agitated. He's pissed. He's rubbed the wrong way. Whatever you want to say, Bill DeMott was no one to be trifled with on night 7. He did not want to hear it. He wanted to get through it. He felt like this shouldn't even be happening. The network is breaking up. He's pissed. He's been saying it all along. This has rubbed DeMott the wrong way. So here we go, and we bring in, and again, we know that Pete not only is the national sponsor and a judge, he also comes in on performances, and so you could role play off him. So we bring in Crowbar, and again, I know Crowbar personally. What a great guy. What a great athlete. Talk about your 5-tool players. I will say that to say this. Although you left me hanging out to dry, Crowbar, in the whole trial of Howard Collado, the original of... one of the originals of the Green Room. You remember that, right, Crowbar? Because I remember that. And Rock Richards, that blockhead. Yeah, you're going to get yours too. It's neither here nor there. Let me, I don't want to digress here. Avi will critique this and mention it and say that too much shtick. And this is not. This is the real deal in the coverage of what you get when I'm here. So, again, Crowbar comes in, and we know that he's talented. We know what he is. He right away kind of like butters up to Pete, so to speak. I don't know if it was planned or ad-lib, organic, or a little... I don't know. You never know with Crowbar because, he's a little eccentric. You know what I'm talking about with the glass and the poems and his performances. And he's very good, Crowbar. I say that. He starts asking Pete about feather pens, if Sharpie has feather pens. And he compliments Sharpie a couple of times. And he really says, you should really have the feather pen. Pete, in turn, he loves the attention himself, right? He's always trying to push the product. He said, we have feathered pens. I don't like what's going on here. A little ass kissing, so to speak. So we go to the first challenge. Let's get on to the contest here. The Green Room, night 7. Here's your coverage. It's improv. Avi Klein, Saturday Night Klein, Saturday Fine Klein. For these purposes, let me adjust the ice packs. Let me adjust this here. Here's the challenge for one Bill DeMott. He has to play a guy named Harry. Now, this is improv. Remember, improvisation. Here's the challenge. Bill DeMott has to play a guy named Harry who's an over-friendly dog walker who has a nervous tick, and he has to use these phrases, if I'm not mistaken. Golly gee, G. Willikers, and Shazam. Golly gee, G. Willikers, and Shazam. Say that 3 times fast. Golly gee, G. Willikers, Shazam. Golly gee, G. Willikers, Shazam. Use that as Harry, the over-friendly dog walker that has a nervous tick. If anybody could pull this off, it would be one Bill DeMott. And again, we know the history. They're Jersey boys. Again, I can't stress that enough between this whole matchup. You could feel it. It was palpable. You could cut it with a knife, the tension between these two that were frenemies, so to speak. So I will say that Bill DeMott comes up and uses those phrases in several different ways and focuses finally on the task at hand. And that was the scene for the improv. Here's scene 1. And in turn, here's Crowbar's scene in the improv challenge. In a Jersey accent, he has to play a guy named Larry who's a loud talker, Shakespearean actor who's smug and rude, and he's looking for a Snickers bar. Let me say it again. Crowbar in the improv, a Jersey accent, a guy named Larry, a loud talker, Shakespearean actor, not a far reach for Crowbar, who's smug and rude, not a far reach there either, looking for a Snickers bar. And now Pete's involved in this. Now remember, they're role-playing on the improv off Pete. And Pete's trying to quit the Snickers bars. You get the storyline there. You got to watch it. That's why this is what you get here in the green room. Unbelievable. We know that Crowbar is a performer. You could see it in all his vignettes. Both of them in scene 1 of the improv challenge. Knock it out of the box. And I'll say that to say this. Let's move on with Bill DeMott and Christopher Ford, if you will. I keep saying Crowbar, but it is Christopher Ford. Let's see if we got a Halls here. Stand by. Stand by. You see, I'm still recovering, right? I know that you do. So we're continuing here with Christopher Ford, Crowbar, Bill DeMott, Hugh Morris, the Jersey Boys. Now, Pete is obviously playing in these scenes. That's his role besides being a judge. Here we go with the second improv challenge that Avi presents. Now, Bill DeMott, he's a guy named Thrash who's frightened, a germaphobe, and a rock star. And Pete's trying to get his autograph. And I'll say again, these guys are professionals. They've been on national TV. They don't have to be actors. When you're in that profession and you hit their pinnacle and their level, and you're a mentor and you're an influencer and you're someone to look up to who has morals and convictions, these guys, whether they know the challenges or not, and they don't, they perform like unbelievable at this level when you talk about stars and performers of this caliber. And Bill DeMott, who was at the pinnacle, and of course Crowbar, who's just a natural. So Thrash, aka Bill DeMott, unbelievable. Pete's trying to get his autograph. Pete was like a high school girl chasing Andy Gibb, if you get that reference, or something. Chasing Justin Bieber. How about that? And Crowbar in this scene is playing a guy named Lewis, who's a reporter and reporting on Christina Aguilera, and has always been mediocre and laughs upon hearing these phrases. Now, there was a little confusion here. I don't know what happened. I don't know if the fairy dust was sprinkled by the Music Man here in this matchup at one point, but there seemed to be something lost in translation, and I'm not sure what happened. I will say one thing. I don't know if this had something to do with it. I'm going to say it like it is because I tell it like it is here. Crowbar, Christopher Ford, continues to kiss the ass of the national sponsor and judge, Pete from Sharpie. I don't know if it was genuine, sincere. That's just how he is, because we know he's a great guy. He's a nice guy. But something's up. And on this challenge, Crowbar, again, with Pete, things get funny here. Crowbar has to respond, and he thought it was Pete. Pete thought it was him, to the words upon laughing about Christina Aguilera being mediocre, as Lewis the reporter, to the words, hi, yay, surely, you, and really. Hi, yay, surely, you, really. Those are the words that they're supposed to respond to. I don't know if it was a gaffe, a botch. Christopher Ford alluded to it. I don't know what happens. Crowbar turned on Pete. Supposedly something happened. Screw the pooch was involved, and mentioned, referred to. Screw the pooch? I don't know. Crowbar, Pete, the challenge here. Lewis, the reporter. Bill as Thrash. Something happened here in the improv challenge, and it turned out to where let's go to the judges, and I don't know who that favored after that near fiasco right there. Crowbar looked like he went from maybe kissing up to maybe turning to defend himself, and realizes how important it is here in the green room. All the time, who's getting screwed? Bill DeMott. Just my opinion. I'm giving you the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's why you're here, as we're almost 50 minutes in. The good, the bad, the ugly. And no matter how much pain I'm in, no matter what I have to focus on for night 8, if I have to go an hour and a half, 2 hours, I will. And you'll continue to watch, because this is what you get. No one breaks it down like I do. And we'll forge on through this. So that's what happened here. I don't know what happened on the green room, but we have to go to the judges. Pete votes for Bill DeMott. Avi, in turn, votes for Crowbar. Now we go to the fans, and this is where I say all your live votes matter. Hashtag it. Make it trend. The fans. Bill, Crowbar, Bill, Crowbar, Bill, Crowbar, 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 Bill, Bill, Bill. The fans end up voting for Face Value and Bill DeMott. Now, Bill is up 1-0 on night 7. So here we go. Let's get on to the next challenge. It's a Q&A. Now, we know how these Q&As work out all the time with Lucinda, Taekwon, Lucinda. Whose questions get answered, whose questions don't get answered. I'm not sure. The next challenge is a Q&A. Avi's sliding Bill DeMott. I'm not sure why. They're co-hosts together every Tuesday night, as I said, on Face Value. So Avi is sliding Bill. I'm not quite sure why in the Q&A. Fans Q&A. First question for Bill. Has a fork ever been used to eat a pretzel? Has a fork ever been used to eat a pretzel is the question from the fans. I will say I love this reference. Bill, because he's witty, he's on his face. He wasn't humorous for nothing. Did I say he's on his face? Maybe he was as humorous. Bill refers to George Costanza in the Jerry Seinfeld episode. That right there is worth the price of admission, and I thought Bill DeMott myself should win just because of that. Just because of that, the fork and eating a pretzel. George Costanza, listen, that was fantastic. In turn, Crowbar gets a question. Would Metallica, Mr. T, and Jay Leno, if they were ever having dinner together, talk about koala bears? I'm not sure where the fans are coming from with these questions at this point on this night. What are you guys doing out there in the green room? The green room universe. I'm not sure what you're smoking. I'm not sure what you're doing. I'm not sure what game you're watching. Pay attention. Would Metallica, Mr. T, Jay Leno ever talk about koala bears? And of course, Crowbar goes on as only he can. Unbelievable. This is what you get on a green room here on the questions and answers from the fans. The next question for Bill DeMott. If you were Timothy DeMott, how ironic, would you be a clarinet player? I don't know where these questions come from. I don't know, flute, organ. I don't know what he's talking about. But the question to Bill DeMott, and he's shaking his head. You can see he's agitated. I said it from the beginning of the coverage of this matchup. If you were Timothy DeMott, would you be a clarinet player? Bill's just shaking his head at this point. In turn, Crowbar gets a question from Taekwon, and everybody chimes in. Pete from Sharpie gets involved. Avi gets involved. Unbelievable. They start talking about Star Wars and cake on International Taekwondo Day. Crowbar starts saying that maybe his good buddy there, Bill DeMott, needs therapy. He's saying that Bill's starting to scare him. He's starting to worry him. He doesn't know why he doesn't like Taekwondo, why he doesn't believe he's a real person. And again, Avi and Pete jump on the bandwagon here with this Taekwon. Again, I've questioned it. I've doubted it myself. We've never seen him. Supposedly, he's making an appearance soon. But he's influenced and gotten in Bill DeMott's head somehow, some way, in the green room. So, unbelievable. They, again, go on about Star Wars, cake, you can't make it up of what happens here in the green room. So let's roll on with the tournament as the tournament rolls on. Bill DeMott, Christopher Ford. Avi is giddy talking to Crowbar at this point and about Taekwondo being real. I've said it before. He's, put on a little bobby socks and a little mini skirt or something like that, Avi. Really? I'm at the like a little school. What do you got? Laughing? Got helium right there on the side there in your your bunker, so to speak, Avi Klein. So he gets a little giddy here. So we go to, I have to make sure these notes are accurate. I'm still waiting for them to get back to me on Del Wilkes and Pastor Andy McDaniel. Apparently it's tied up 1-1. I want the report live before I get out of here. I don't care how long I have to be here. I'll suffer through it. So we go to the votes after the whole Taekwon love fest and Crowbar all pining all night. It really was at one point a little much. Pete from Sharpie votes Crowbar. In turn, I didn't see this coming. Avi votes for Bill DeMott. I don't know what the connection was there. Maybe it's because they're co-hosts and they realize moving forward it's about face value. I don't know. They're separate entities on the WWAB Podcast Network. Let me make that clear. They're separate entities. We go to the fans again. All your live votes matter. They just do. The votes come in, and overwhelmingly Bill DeMott wins with the fans. How could he not, after everything that he does and the type of man that he is? Nothing against Crowbar, who's a crafty veteran, savvy veteran in life. Let's face that. But Bill DeMott gets the fan vote, and now we're tied 1-1. And what could have been an elimination matchup? No eliminations yet. And that's right, face values, Bill DeMott, Hugh Morris, whatever you want to call, one hell of a man. One big sumbitch. He ties up his old Jersey Shore buddy, and that would be Crowbar. What an incredible matchup. So they're tied 1-1. No eliminations yet. Bill DeMott wins the matchup on night 7, round 1. Let's move on. These two at one point on different nights, as we review night 7 here, these two at one point were main eventers. One of them's actually self-proclaimed Mr. Main Event, or maybe... of course, with the obvious slight with Avi Klein, Saturday night, Saturday shine Klein for these purposes. Yeah, could it be any more in who he's voting for and whose corner is he in? Yeah, the original David Holliday. This was a main event on a couple of nights, and this goes back 20 years. We've already talked about this as a special grudge match. It's tied 1-1. Night 7 was a night of eliminations, or alleged, or supposed, or possible. This was a 1-1. This is a matchup between Mr. Main Event, Mr. Dominance. One hell of a performer. I'll give him credit for that. David Hats Holliday. And a mentor of young minds and an influence in life and spirit. And that would be Jamie Sparling. Laid back, cerebral. Maybe he doesn't connect with certain people out there, but he's an influence in life. And what a good family man Jamie Sparling is. We know this goes back. It's tied 1-1. This could be an elimination. Avi, before this matchup even starts, is coaching David, saying, get the job done. To use a quote, get the job done to David Holliday. You know, he's taking jabs, Avi, at Jamie. And saying, hey, his usual phrase, persona non grata, which he's used on me many times. Persona non grata. He's saying that to Jamie. He's calling Jamie Sparling a cream puff. What kind of chance does Jamie stand in this? Let's be honest. The obviously biased one Avi Klein. So that's how we start off here. A former main event. Now these guys are in the middle of the card, middle of the lineup, and you realize maybe you've been put in your place a little bit. Hey, David Holliday, you may be the best. You may be the odds-on favorite in Vegas, in the sports book, and with Avi Klein and the judges, maybe even the sponsors. You've been put in your place here as the 4th matchup of night 7. Let me get some energy on this one because I'm going to need it. Thanks for being with me, fans. We're hold on. Woohoo! We're coming up on almost an hour of coverage here on night 7, round 1. Listen, it was a 4-hour show, so if we can condense an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes out of a 4-hour show, we accomplished what we wanted as a guy that would be your host. So we go on with this. We understand what this matchup is all about. They've been the main event. Avi brings in Pete and says quite candidly, and he said it live on air in front of 1 million+ viewers, Avi says to Pete, the national sponsor, makes no bones about it. And this is where, hey, the green room, there's a lot of chicanery going on. Avi says that no matter what, he's voting for David Holliday. I've said it on all these preview and review shows. Avi Klein is making no bones about it. He wants Mr. Main Event, David Holliday, his old college buddy. We know they're all old college buddies. Jamie Sparling, David Holliday, Avi Klein, Howard Collado. We understand. We get it, man. The fans, the competitors, we understand. The WWAB universe, we understand. Pete, in turn, says, I'll give Pete from Sharpie credit. And I know you watch these reviews, Pete. And if you're not, and the national sponsor, Sharpie's not, and everybody else who's not, you're missing the boat if you're not watching these preview review shows from Chaos Corner. Yeah, I'm a competitor, but who else can be more impartial and biased than his coverage of what is going on in the green room? Keep that in mind as you watch my coverage, how unbiased I am, something that Avi Klein is not, period. I'm putting it out there on record. This will be up and posted. It'll soak in for a week before we get on to night 8. Let that soak in. So Pete says that he can't tolerate. I'll give Pete credit to tie this up like a nice little bow, because that's what I do. I'll lose focus sometimes. I'll admit it. There's so much to cover here, but I always come back and tie it up with a little bow. That's what I do. So Pete says he's going to bring in. Now this came out of nowhere. The chat room nearly exploded on all the pages streaming live. Pete announces, as he did with the Great Reset that caught everybody off guard, he announces that he's bringing in a third judge. I think it's a great idea. Whether I like it, don't like it, doesn't matter. At this point, I think it's a great idea. You could always break the deadlock. I mean, hey, listen, there it is. If it's 1-1, I don't know what it does to the fan votes, but maybe Avi or somebody, or Pete, somebody could step out as a judge. But Pete decides, because of Avi's clear issues and clear support of David Holliday, that we're bringing in a third judge. Avi panics. If you ever watch Avi on all the other shows in the WWAB network, streaming live 7 nights a week, all the other great hosts, he's usually calm, cool, collective. You know, he's running the show. He's running the board. He's got everything written out. He's working 22 hours a day. Cool as a cucumber, right? Let me just tell you something. On these shows, and when it comes to the green room, whether he gets giddy, emotional, whatever it is, he panics and starts panicking out of nowhere. I don't know what happened with Avi Klein, but I enjoy seeing it. The chat room went bananas. It really was crazy. You know who gets brought in? He was in the islands when he first got eliminated from this tournament back on night 3 or night 4, I believe it was. He's a former national sponsor, maybe still a current national sponsor. He goes back 20 years with Avi Klein. He was at a convention with Pete years ago as national sponsors for their companies. He originally wanted to get involved in Avi's first project. It was kind of booted, but redeemed himself, came back. We love a story of redemption. Was headed over to Norway to see the Great Northern Lights. Actually going over to the Great Northern Lights. We saw him in the city. He was eliminated, but he's been redeemed, and he's back, and that's former national sponsor James from Right Guard. RG James is back. And he's been brought in, and there's obviously been some mending of fences, whether it's about whatever happened in Vegas years back. Again, there's still a connection. I'll always talk about it until it gets resolved here in the green room. It may never be resolved, but we're always working on it. That's what I do. So he brings in James from Right Guard to be a judge. You can't make it up. Again, Avi panicked. That's the last thing. The chat room was like, wow, this guy, this loser, this bum. But James from Right Guard is a very influential man. So he never made it to Norway. He never made it overseas. He's been redeemed. He's back. We move on to the unbelievable work that I say all the time of the films, the montages, the trailers, individuality for each different competitor of David Holliday and Jamie Sparling and the grudge match. We know, again, I'll review it. It's an elimination matchup tied at 1-1. Here we go. Holliday and Sparling are on screen, old buddies, you know, the usual. Listen, Jamie looked great. He was laid back, tanned up, looking good, wearing a jacket. David Holliday looked like he was in a studio somewhere in his house. Beautiful microphone, dressed with a nice shirt and tie. He looked like he was ready to go to Broadway. Holliday looked good. Jamie Sparling looked good. They were main event worthy. So let me just say that to say this. Here's the first challenge from Saturday Fine, Avi Klein. The first challenge is games. It's going to be lend me a word or two. Avi comes up with this. I don't know where he goes. Lend me a word or two is what Avi comes up with. So for Jamie Sparling, again, longtime friends, special grudge match, elimination matchup here on night 7, round 1. Jamie and lend me a word or two challenge. Games now. Jamie has to use the words selfish, toxic, delusional, overrated in describing David. Let me say it again. Selfish, toxic, delusional, overrated in describing David. Jamie knocks it out of the park, as usual. Jamie Sparling, a true mentor, a true person about love and faith and family. I'll give Jamie Sparling for that. What an influential man. What a man of zen and laid back. Give Jamie credit. He looked good, too. I got to give Jamie Sparling credit. In turn, Mr. David Holiday, the main event, has to use the words, and lend me a word or two. Remember, the challenge is games. Useless, hideous, ugly, stupid in describing Jamie and Jamie's wife. Now, let me stop everybody right there because the chat room, the supporters, the fans, a lot of people took this offensive. A lot of people didn't know how to take this. They were offended. They were over the top. Avi had to address it. It really got ugly in this matchup. That goes to show you what this matchup was all about. I talk about it all the time, what happened between Jamie Sparling and David Holiday and how long these guys go back, and they're all college buddies. You see what happens in old relationships. So David has to use useless, hideous, ugly, stupid in describing Jamie and his wife. Crossing the line, a lot of people came out and said it. I'm not giving my opinion. It wasn't my dog in that fight. We go to, it got harsh. It got realistic. We go to the judges. Remember, there's a third judge now. Pete goes with Jamie. James from right guard goes with Jamie. Avi goes with David. So here we go. The fans, because before we went, on deciding vote, the fans got to finally vote on this. And that's why I always say your live votes matter. The fans made it loud and clear to David Holiday, the Green Room original. The fans voted for Jamie Sparling on that game's challenge. I'm just going to put it out there. That was the official vote. And now Jamie Sparling, because the fans spoke, and that's what I talk about your votes and being there live. Yeah, you can go back and watch the replay for entertainment. It's unbelievable to catch yourself up, but you have to watch live because it matters. Jamie Sparling now is up 1-0 on night 7. Again, Avi voted David. Pete and James voted for Jamie. The fans voted for Jamie. Jamie's up 1-0 on night 7. The next challenge is monologues. Now remember, before we even get on to the next challenge in monologues, I told you about what's going on with Avi Klein. We know what Pete has done from Sharpie. Avi, in turn, keeps cutting Jamie off throughout this whole matchup. Not only throwing jabs and barbs, showing his biases, but he keeps cutting Jamie off. I just want that to be noted in this next challenge of monologues. Jamie talks in his monologue challenge. And again, bear with me. I'm going to try to get a throat lozenge as we go on here with night 7, round 1 coverage. So Jamie on the monologue talks about, and people were referring to, and I've seen it before, the movie Good Will Hunting, referring to quotes and scenes from movies. Jamie Sparling mentions in his monologue challenge the Sistine Chapel. He mentions the importance of happiness in a good woman. He quotes authors and books. He talks about true love and spirit. And I got to tell you, Jamie was very laid back. Again, I'll use this word, very zen-like. I'll give it to Jamie Sparling. In turn, David talks about life in general. He goes on a long diatribe. Again, I'll give David Holiday credit. I've learned one thing since I've been involved in the WWAB and in the green room, and I hate to say this, and remember that I made you win by voting for you live against Jamie Sparling on one night, and that's why you're lucky enough to be here, or Jamie Sparling would have advanced to round 2. I'll never forget that, and you won't either. But David, you're one unbelievable performer and professional, and what you showed on night 7, round 1, I'll never forget what you did. And of course, Avi, after your monologue and promo, bravo, bravo, bravo. It's so obvious. Again, I'll say it's so obvious. Bear with me, fans. It's so obvious. We're live to tape here. Bear with me. So we go to the votes. Again, David Holiday, I'll give you credit. I'll give you a devil is due. You don't care about anybody, right? You don't care. You can only depend on you. Nobody's in your life, right? You have no support, no friends, nobody, right? It's just David Holliday. You against the world, right, Hats? Right, Holliday? But I'll give you credit. I tell it like it is. That's what I said. I'll be here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly on the coverage. So we go to Pete. Pete votes for Jamie. Avi votes for David. He made it crystal clear. That's why we have a third judge in James. Avi votes for David. Now, James is the deciding vote. James from right guard. That's right. He was brought back. He's deciding vote on night 7 in this matchup. James goes with David Hats Holliday. And now we're tied 1-1. That's right. Not only is the series tied 1-1 here on night 7, the matchups and the challenges for night 7 are now tied 1-1. James from right guard was the deciding vote and chose David Holliday. We move on with Jamie Sparling and David Hats Holliday. Here's the third challenge. Jamie Sparling goes first and decides to, and this is where Avi comes up with, here's the physical challenge. He calls it improv, but it was a physical challenge. Now, Jamie, we know he's a master of the martial arts, teaches our youth, teaches young adults, teaches all kinds of people about health, mind, body, spirit, being positive, love, and light. That's what Jamie Sparling's all about. That's what he brings to this matchup, and I guess to their relationship in general. Jamie gives a martial arts demonstration with weapons, gloves, and everything. His wifey even gets involved. I'll give him credit. She's one tough hombre. She took it there, kickboxing and punches and so on and so forth. And a lot of people in the chat room were reacting to this. Unbelievable. I'll say that. He's no one to be tried. And nimble as a minx, Jamie Sparling. A mobile, agile, hostile, and nimble, Jamie Sparling. I thought he put on a great demonstration, and you wouldn't want to get into a street fight with him. I want him on my side, along with several other green room competitors. So I thought Jamie Sparling and the wifey did well on the improv challenge. I call it a physical challenge, right there in his house. And then here we go, David's challenge. I don't know if it was set up or not, because it seemed like throughout the whole matchup, David Holliday was prepared. Black tie affair, nice white button-down shirt. He was actually wearing khaki shorts, and a summertime event, like he was out on the gazebo somewhere or out on the shoreline at a nice party or a wedding or something like that. You looked good, Holliday. I said it earlier. I don't want to throw praise on you because we don't know what will happen on the green room. So you could tell the microphone, he's standing up, he's performing, he's in a different room, Holliday. And he goes to a Broadway musical, theater, number, scene of singing and performing that shows what David Holliday is all about. Whether it's challenges, singing, he's not a 300-pound grappler. He'll get his ass kicked by almost anybody, and certainly by Jamie Sparling. But unbelievable singing. I couldn't believe it. I will say one thing, David Holliday, that was the performance of a lifetime. I felt like I was front row in Broadway, and that this is a shoot. This is being honest right here. You know, we're almost an hour and 15 minutes. I don't waste my time here. I put time and effort and research into this. And Jay Brony spends nights, and we spend nights doing this and going over that. So I hope you appreciate that. And this comes from the heart. It was an unbelievable musical, theatrical performance by David Holliday. Give him credit. The fans were really unbelievable. He really does depend on no one. So give David Holliday credit. What a performance. And of course, Avi comes in blubbering, whimpering. If I had to imitate him, that's not shtick. If you want to sit there and call me out and say that's shtick, that's not shtick, because that's how you were actually acting. Remember that, okay? So it was an incredible performance, but blubbering worthy, I don't know about that. I really don't. Saturday, fine, Klein. So we go to the judges. Again, James from right guard is going to be the deciding vote. It's like he came back and was set up and thrown right into the fire. The heck, we're going to see the Northern Lights in Norway or whatever you were doing, Amsterdam, wherever you were going, the islands. James is right back as the national sponsor and made amends with Pete from Sharpie, and he's the deciding vote as a judge after being a competitor that was eliminated. Let's remember that. Talk about redemption. Avi Klein called it. You never know what could happen, and people could be saved and brought back. Pete from Sharpie did it. Pete explains and goes with Jamie. Again, I don't have to say this. Avi goes with David Holliday. James is the deciding vote again. I don't know what's going on. I'm not saying it's not a legitimate vote. It's funny how the fans don't get a chance to get involved when David Holliday is performing in this tournament. I don't know what's going on. But James from Right Guard, the new judge who's back, voted for David Holliday. That's it. It's over. It's over. Jamie Sparling's gone. It's unbelievable. The former actor himself, Mr. Martial Arts, an unbelievable guy, the guy of power and light and love. Jamie Sparling was eliminated. We have our first elimination of Night 7, our first elimination of the tournament in quite some time. Jamie Sparling got eliminated. James from Right Guard and Avi both voted for David. Pete tried to save it and voted for Jamie. David Holliday wins, Mr. Main Event. Listen, if you had your money on him, you're still good in Vegas. Avi was over the top. I thought I was watching Sylvester Stallone in the old arm wrestling movie. Over the top. That's all I could say about one Avi Klein, who's supposed to be unbiased. I'll say that to say this. David Holliday advances to the second round. Jamie Sparling is eliminated. It was a long, tough battle. It was the best out of three. David Holliday, and I'll say one thing about Jamie Sparling. I don't know what the future holds for Jamie. We know that kung fu fighting and all that and the great things he does for the community and for family. He was very gracious in defeat with David Holliday. And then you saw a vulnerable side of David Holliday after they were over the top and accepting defeat and accepting victory. So let's hope the friendship of 20 plus years can be mended. The bottom line is Jamie Sparling is pure class in a glass. David Hats Holliday, Mr. Main Event, over the top Avi Klein. David Holliday moved on, was voted by the judges legitimately. He performed unbelievable. I'll give the devil his due as far as that goes, to use that expression. David Holliday, congratulations. He moves on to round 2. That's the first elimination of Night 7. We move on from there here on Night 7, round 1 of Avi Klein's 64-person bracket-style tournament. Again, it's going to be a long, hot summer. Fans, stay with me. We're an hour and 15 minutes. We go on to the 5th matchup of the night, and it's the debut in the Green Room tournament of one, it's me, and no, I didn't use it. It's just Sammy. The former Sammy Doyle, who's now called Sammy Green. I'll give her credit. She's got a little sassafras. She's a natural behind the camera. I said it if you looked at the last reviews. I even sung Steely Dan and referred to Peg when it came to it's me, it's just Sammy. I understand that. We know that she's got history with the Queen of Mean, Maria, who's involved in her own embroiled feud with Miranda. You guys are tied 1-1. Your time will come. But remember, Sammy's no one to be trifled with. You know the history of Sammy and Maria, but I'm not here to talk about that. So we have the debut of Sammy and one Preston Present. Now, Pete and James come in, and they're cackling back and forth, but they are the judges. They're taking control of what's going on. So Pete and James are now very, very active in what's going on. And here comes Preston Present. Now, I'll say that to say this. I don't know what he looked like with a hat and long beard and glasses and speaking Swahili or whatever the heck it was. I mean, I don't know what it is. But, Avi is nowhere to be found. He exited stage left, so to speak, to go get a phone call and congratulate his old buddy and suck up to David Holliday. Maybe they had money on it. I don't know what they went and did. But Avi's nowhere to be found. Okay, he's nowhere to be found. He's talking to David Hats Holliday somewhere in the back. So it's down to Pete and James as your judges for this Sammy Preston Present character. Now, here we go. It's a 2 out of 3 because the photo was pulled. So that's what we understand. It's a 2 out of 3 matchup here. It's not one and done. This will not be an elimination. It's a debut bout. It's a question and answer. Pete, so to speak, for these purposes, is the MC. The first question, first up, there's constant interruptions. I don't know what's going on in this matchup. Preston Present is interrupting the whole time. I have no idea what he's doing. He's babbling incoherently. Who knows what he's up to? He's a little creepy. He's kind of like Biden. He's a little inappropriate. He's making some really crazy remarks. There's something going on here with the man who's back from the future and one Preston Present. So the first question by Pete is to Sammy. Who are you two? And I guess this was a Q&A from the fans because you know who was involved once again? Taekwon. Tuquan, Taekwon, Toquan, Miquan, Yuquan, we all Quan, Taekwon is with the first question. Who are you two is the question for just Sammy and Preston Present. Again, remember, by Double P. And you know when I say Double P, who I'm talking about. Preston Present, Double P for these purposes. Constantly interrupting. So the focus on the questions, I don't know what was going on. There was no focus in this matchup. Pete and James needed to take more control. It's just my opinion. Sammy was confused. I'll give her credit. She was trying to pay attention. For a debut matchup, there was a lot of confusion here in the fifth matchup of the night. And the second question is to Sammy, and it's, are you a Doyle? Because remember, just Sammy, a.k.a. Sammy Green, formerly Sammy Doyle. Boy, did she avoid this like the plague, so to speak, to use an old school term. Sammy didn't answer the question. She hemmed and hawed. She certainly didn't want to talk about it. And she skipped around the question when it came to her relationship and status with the Doyles, which if you've been paying attention, you know what the relationship is because the G.O.C. knows. So she avoids the question. That's what we're getting here in the matchup. Again, a lot of incoherent babbling from Preston Present. I don't know what the hell was going on. I don't even know why we're covering this matchup, but it's a part of the program there. So we move on with Sammy and Preston. Sammy's up 1-0. So let's just make that crystal clear. She's up 1-0 for these purposes because you can't understand Preston Present. Pete rules. Sammy's up 1-0 in the Night 7 challenges. It really is unbelievable what's happening. And again, Preston Present is a creep. I don't know. He became inappropriate. There were a lot of comments that said he was crossing the line. Hey, listen, there's a lot of things. This is what you get on the green room. You never know what's going to happen. Preston, I will say, he crossed the line. He was a little inappropriate. And, you know, Sammy's not going to take any guff. She really isn't. She's the epitome of what a woman is supposed to be. Strong, proud, strength, kick no ass, take no prisoners, and can do it all. Needs no one but herself. Of course, we're all better with someone to make you better and walk alongside of you. Sammy Doyle's the epitome of that. Out of nowhere, before we can even decide and get to what's going to happen further, Pete and James come back on. They finally realize what everyone in the chat room was saying, what I'm saying right now. They finally pick up on it. It's really, if it was a snake, it would have bit you. It was right in front of you. They come on and they disqualify Preston Present. He's out. He is persona non grata at this point. Preston Present is persona non grata. He gets disqualified by Pete from Sharpie and James from Right Guard. And now Sammy is up officially 1-0 in the matchup in the best of three. I don't even know why it should be a best of three. With his behavior and what happened that night and the comments that were presented and what's happening, there needs to be an investigation. Preston Present should be disqualified from the tournament. Okay? That's just an opinion. That's what I've read. That's what I've heard. But the bottom line is Sammy Green, it's me, just Sammy, whatever it is. She persevered. She overcame the confusion and the chaos, and that's pun intended. That was on night 7, and she moves on and is up 1-0 in the best of three. So we'll see what happens if this clown, this creep, that's right, Preston Present, is allowed back in the green room. But the announcement is, you know, Avi was back on screen after celebrating wherever they were with David Holliday and him moving on to round 2. Sammy Green is up 1-0 in the best of three, and that's the bottom line. We move on to the 6th matchup of the night. And that would be, and she's been saying it on social media if you've been paying attention, she has a secret weapon and she has an ace in the hole. And that would be one Mindy McKinney Red, the Yellow Rose of Texas, going up against that weirdo himself, that freak, that geek, that enigma, the Music Man, or Double M for these purposes. Now, we already know that Double M, the freak that looks like, I don't know, a mini-me of The Undertaker, is up 1-0 because of the mind control and what he's done to Mindy McKinney Red. She's a tough lady, but let's face it, he found a vulnerability and a weakness that maybe none of us can overcome with the whole voodoo and the magic and the stuff and the mind games and the manipulation he tries to play. Mindy was ready. We start off here with the matchup. Again, Music Man up 1-0. The first challenge here is promos. But before we can even get started, Mindy McKinney Red is like, oh no, oh, kind of like me right now. Oh no. It's just kind of acting like I am right now. You know, uncomfortable, crazy, like she's in a trance. We don't know what's happening. Things are going crazy. Mindy McKinney Red is transferred to like she was in the first matchup. Obvious, like yelling out to her. It's like she's under a spell again. And Obvious, like again, I can't believe it. And they try to even move on with the challenges, like I'm trying to move on with the show in this review. Mindy has to do the who, what, why, where, when in the first challenge, July 22nd. Toyota Center in Texas, a loser leave town match against the Music Man. Avi's employing Mindy to snap out of it at this point, but she still reads it off and is like under the spell and hasn't snapped out. It's like when she got on screen and he came on screen, it was all over. It was all done with, and Mindy was back. I don't know, is the truth to aliens? Is the truth to aliens out there? I don't know. It could be in this matchup. It could be in Texas. I don't know what's happening. So Mindy mimics the Music Man's word. And as the Music Man is talking in that low tone and leaning over and whatever kind of voice he uses in mind control and manipulation and messages, as he's talking, Mindy McKinney Red is repeating it word for word as if it's almost her voice in this trance. It really is unbelievable. And the Music Man's challenge that we're still trying to move on with this was like July 25th in an I Quit match versus Mindy. I mean, what are we doing here? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, like I'm going to do right now, hopefully, Mindy snaps out of it and says that she's seen the light. I've seen the light. Mindy finally snaps out of it somewhere. I don't know what happened, what triggered it, what did it. Who knows what it could have been, but Mindy McKinney Red snapped out of it and says, I've seen the light. I've seen the light. God bless Mindy McKinney Red, the Yellow Rose of Texas. She is the light. Out of nowhere. This is what you get on the green room. You can't make it up. You had to see it live. This beautiful, angelic, angel voice. The Music Lady makes an appearance out of nowhere. This beautiful silhouette and voice, and starts singing an unbelievable tune that would make you calm the savage beast, if you will. It was really unbelievable. Is that Mindy's ace? Was that Mindy's big surprise? What an unbelievable. She is the light, Mindy McKinney Red. And not only that, the beautiful Music Lady brought the light. And out of nowhere, the Music Man disappears. The light got rid of the dark, and the Music Man is gone. That's the story of this matchup. Music Man is gone. Mindy's there, snaps out of it. The Music Lady. I heard violins. I hear violins right now. That's what you got on night 7. Pete and Avi come on. They say it's a forfeit. Mindy wins the matchup. Here on night 7, it's tied 1-1. So I'm as happy as I am for Mindy McKinney Red and the appearance of the angelic Music Lady. Who knows moving forward what's going to happen, where this came from, the light up above. I don't know. All I know that it's 1-1, but that means that the Music Man will be back. I don't know how happy we are about that. So the tournament rolls on. It's tied 1-1. There was no elimination. Mindy did not get eliminated. Thank God for that. So the music lady, let's see what's going to happen moving forward. You never know. This is what you get. Talk about drama, comedy, performances, theater, a cross between SNL, Days of Our Lives, General Hospital, SCTV. That's what you get on the Green Room. So we move on night 7 coverage. I hope we can get through this, fans. You can see I'm struggling with it right now. We have some unbelievable matchups to cover. We have Howard to cover, and then we have the main event of Duke the Dumpster G.O.C. and Rich Masadi. So don't go anywhere. We're an hour and 30 minutes in. An hour and 30 minutes in. I want you to know that. So we move on to the night 7 coverage, and we have another unbelievable video montage. And on comes one of the Green Room originals, and that's one Howard Collado. Unbelievable musician, a thespian, competitor. Listen, he's one of the originals. He's been here from day one. He has a history with all the guys, including Avi Klein, including everyone else, to David Holliday, and so on and so forth. Howard has had a rough time in this tournament. The Sarge was nowhere to be found and had physical issues. Buff Bagwell came on, kicked his ass, and disappeared. Howard can't seem to catch a break here on the Green Room. He was screwed in the original Green Room screw job, and then the Great Reset by Pete and Avi. But here we go. Before we get on to Howard, an unbelievable video montage. Pete, James, and Avi are on, and they're bantering back and forth, and out of nowhere, there's an announcement, and that's what you get on the Green Room. You never know what's going to happen. Out of nowhere, Pete brings back James from right guard to be a competitor. So not only was James eliminated, brought back to be a judge as a former national sponsor, the history of all these guys, James out of nowhere in the twists and turns of night 7 turns to come back, and Pete includes him as a competitor, and the redemption of James from right guard continues. And now the opponent for one Howard Collado, the Green Room original, is James from right guard. He is back. Avi pulls out the photo, and it's Howard's photo, and this turns to be a 2 out of 3 matchup. So James, talk about redemption. Avi has said it from the beginning. This is what could happen, and Pete has said it. He could save and bring people back, and James has been saved. The former national sponsor, current national sponsor, judge, competitor, is back and now taking on Howard Collado. Here's the first challenge. It's a best 2 out of 3. We go to the promos. Howard has to explain what a man truly is while trying to swat flies. That's the first challenge that Avi comes up with. Think about that. Let it sit in. Here's the promo for Howard Collado. Explain what a man truly is while trying to swat flies. Picture that. In turn, James have to explain what tough really is while holding in trying to go number 2. I don't know. I didn't make this up. Talk about shtick. James has to explain what tough is while holding in a number 2, so to speak. Let that sink in for a second here. I have to do something, fans, to get through this coverage. Stay with me. Don't go anywhere. Hey, listen, it's sugar-free. It's only 8 ounces. We're late recording this, or as you want to say, early. I don't want to imitate the current president because he's the clown and the reality of it. I just wanted to throw that in there. So we go on to those challenges really were something. Here's the votes. Pete from Sharpie votes for James. Avi votes for Howard Collado. We go to the fans. Here comes the votes. I'll be honest, a lot of the fans did vote for Howard. Howard's up 1-0 on night 7, finally taking control of his own destiny. Howard wins the fans' vote. We go on to the next challenge. It's an improv challenge. Here is the challenge for Howard Collado. He's an overactive walrus, just learning the English language, trying to buy a pretzel on a deserted New York City street. Let that sink in. I don't know where this is coming from, an episode of That 70s Show, the original SNL primetime players. I don't know, but let that marinate. Overactive walrus just learning the language, trying to buy a pretzel on a deserted New York City street. In turn, James from Right Guard is an oversensitive security guard because he's missing an episode of General Hospital, and a doctor is trying to get in the building while he is supposed to be talking like Hulk Hogan, or at least referring to him. That's right. He's a security guard at a hospital. He's upset because he's missing General Hospital. Pete is playing a doctor who's trying to get in the building, and Hulk Hogan is supposed to be referred. So let me just give you the spoiler right now. James from Right Guard, as he has done in the past with competitors, he screwed it up because he never mentioned Hulk Hogan in the challenge. He never mentioned. So Pete votes for Howard because of that reason. In turn, Avi votes for Howard. So it's 2-0 Howard Collado. Who knew? The original showing his real talent when it comes to getting a competitor. He's kicking the ass of R.G. James. He's up 2-0 on night 7. It really is something. So that's it. That's it. Howard's up 2-0. The challenge is over. Howard is up 1-0 in the best of 3 series. That's what we get coming out of that. He wins. As a matter of fact, this on night 7 was the first sweep of the night, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, it was a sweep. Howard Collado shows what he's all about, what he's been saying. No matter what happened to him in the past, no matter what's going to happen in the future. And I'll give James credit too. He came back and redeemed himself. He's back as a competitor. But Howard Collado swept night 7 of the competition. And now he's up 1-0 in the best of 3. So congratulations to Howard Collado. It's about time, Howard. Let me adjust myself here on that point, Collado. Because we all know what the struggle's about, Collado. So Howard up 1-0. Let's go at least now. Let's move on to the main event. We are coming up on an hour and almost 40 minutes in. I will struggle to make it through for you, the fans, and then we're going to post this because I have to be honest, and this is a shoot. I'm really struggling to get through with the current issues in the lower back and different things that have been made aware of. So we're struggling through this, but I'm having a lot of fun. I do it for you, the fans, and I could be down here and no matter what. It's about giving back, and this is what I'm here to do for you, and that's a shoot. No matter what kind of condition I'm in, I'm here to compete. And this is determination, motivation, and inspiration I have to continue to move on. Pay attention, everyone out there who's watching this. Pay attention. I do appreciate you, the fans. So we move on here. Again, congratulations to Howard Collado. Now we go to the main event. The main event, before we get there, Pete has some news. And I want to send out my condolences and thoughts and prayers. Allegedly a former competitor, one that was involved in the matchup with James from Right Guard, the former Jessica, the podcast queen, quite the singer, supposedly was involved in something, and Jessica is no longer in the tournament. There is nowhere to be found, Miss Jessica. Avi, in her tribute, gives a 2-second salute, a 2-second sound of silence. Goodbye, see you, God bless. And Jessica, don't let the door hit you with a good Lord, split you. Basically is what Avi and Pete have to say. And we had a nice 2 seconds of silence for the former Jessica. Did you have something to do with that, James from Right Guard? A lot of chicanery going on in the green room. So we go to the video montage of the main event, and we know what that is. Taking out the trash or road to recovery every 6 o'clock on Friday nights, and that's one Duke the Dumpster G.O.C. No one to be trifled with. A man of conviction, a man saving lives, a man full of wit and humor and self-deprecation, and the most humble guy, stand-up guy you could ever want to meet, and one Duke the Dumpster G.O.C. against a guy who I find to to be an incredible talent who I've gotten to know, a man of true vulnerability and strength and power and talent, and that's one Rich Masadi. Remember, this is an elimination matchup. This series is tied 1-1. This could be the elimination of one of these two, from one of the WWAB originals to the hottest commodity right now in the WWAB, and that could very well be, perhaps, Rich Masadi. So Avi goes around to people in the green room and people in the back and the fans and the judges and different competitors, and everyone gives their and makes their predictions after the beautiful video montage for each competitor. So everyone's making their predictions. Again, the montage is second to none. Award-winning film. This is the 8th matchup of the night. Road to Recovery. I've already talked about it. Rich Masadi. It's tied 1-1. This could be the elimination. This is the main event. This is what we've been looking for. So I'm going to say that to say this. Duke comes up with a quote that I hope I get accurate, and I like the quote. He says in regards to Rich Masadi that he's shaken like a hound dog trying to crap out a peach pit. Let me say that again. Duke the Dumpster G.O.C, and I quote, Rich Masadi is shaken like a hound dog trying to crap out a peach pit. I like that. Here's the first challenge. Let's move on. Rich comes on with an eye patch. I don't know at this point if it's true, if it's a work, if there's a lawsuit involved. I don't know what the deal it is. Masadi has nice hair. He really does. Got nice hair. But he has the eye patch on. Let's go to the first challenge, and it's a combination. Avi's always changing the rules. He comes up with a unique challenge. It's a monologues and promos combined challenge. Here we go for the first challenge in this special grudge match. There's been a lot of them. There really has. That's what this is all about. It's not only Hollywood stars from film, TV, music, entertainment. It's also personal grudge matches and people with a history of over 20 years. So here we go. Duke has to address people you have hurt over the past year. Now, this matchup gets hot and heavy and emotional and vulnerable, and it's almost like a shoot, and the fans don't understand and don't know that this is what you get on the green room, and Avi Klein puts you in these types of positions. That's the truth of it, and this is what happens in this matchup. Talk about emotional, resonating, relatable, hard-hitting, sit back. Let's try to make this under 2 hours. An unbelievable main event of night 7, round 1. Duke has to address the people that he has hurt over the past year, and I'll leave it at that. Rich, in turn, has to explain how horrific it would be to lose his family due to addiction. Again, the subjects, the stories, and the reality of what hits home here is second to none. It really is. It hits home. It's something like you've never, ever experienced here on the Green Room. The second monologue promo for Duke is Avi wants Duke to pay David Howard and Rich Masadi himself heartfelt compliments. And I just want to make a special note. What Rich Masadi explained and broke down what would happen if he ever went back to addiction and his former demons, if that didn't hit home and bring a tear to your eye and show you the reality and the compassion and dedication of Rich Masadi to his family and to what he's doing in life and to every single one of us, then you don't have a heart. Then you don't understand what this matchup is truly all about and what Avi taps into you as a performer, a competitor, and as a person. And Rich Masadi related it just like he did with his dad, like maybe not too many people I've ever seen in this industry. So I just wanted to note that. So Duke now, in turn, very heartfelt himself. You see the part of Duke that people understand and talk about in the real Mike G.O.C. Yeah, he's self-deprecating, humor, witty, ball breaker, doing the dozens like nobody's business. Ribber extraordinaire, humor unbelievable. But Duke, when you see the real side of him and what he does in real life and as a person of who he really is, that's the type of person you admire. And he lays out compliments to David Holliday, Howard Collado, and Rich Masadi that would make you as a friend so humbled and grateful that you have a friend for life to hear those type of words. Truly genuine from Duke to Dumpster G.O.C. In turn, I don't know what Avi does where he hits home in this matchup, what he's trying to touch into. This is why he is the master and he is the man behind the curtain. He is the true puppet master, Avi Klein. The next monologue promo for Rich Masadi is, talk to your father, Avi says, and apologize to him if need be for whatever you may need. And again, this is where Rich Masadi resonates. This is why he was in the main event of Night 7, not only because of the star of and the reality of Duke the Dumpster G.O.C. and who Mike G.O.C. really is and their history, but because Rich Masadi's relatable, realistic, true-to-life stories that you could see on an episode of Vice itself, in reality TV or on A&E, and Rich Masadi, once again, like he did in the last time these two men met, breaks it down emotional, genuine, heartfelt, and passionate, like only a son and a father could in a true tribute. And it's a testament to Rich Masadi once again. And this is a shoot. I'm telling you the truth. I'm giving you the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm giving you of what I see as an independent, although I'm a competitor, I'm going to give you an independent, impartial view. That's what I'm capable of doing. Leave your coat at the door when you enter the green room, because nothing else matters but this focus. And that's what Rich Masadi tapped into on Night 7 in the main event. So really unbelievable as we roll on here. Duke the Dumpster against Rich Masadi. We get on to continue with the challenges. It's the third challenge in the monologues, promos combo that Avi came up with. Duke has to, again, it's serious, it's hot, it's heavy, and this is what you get. And if you can't handle it, you don't like it, you think it's crossing the line, you don't understand the goodness and the greatness of what this truly exposes and paying the homage and what it's truly all about. If you don't get it, idiot, then change the channel. Because it's heavy, deep, genuine, thoughtful, and paying homage and a tribute to these different addictions, demons, pasts, performances. So understand that as an audience, as Avi Klein had to straighten out several different people here. Duke, again, Duke opines, and I like that word. I think it's the second time I've used it. It's very, very powerful and moving moment. Reality, life. Duke the Dumpster G.O.C. could be a story in itself on A&E. It's a fact on any TV organization. He lived it. He speaks it. He knows it. Speak to each of your addictions, no matter what they are. Alcohol, drugs, pills, marijuana, sex, food, gambling, whatever it is. Speak to your addictions. And man, Duke the Dumpster G.O.C. is as real as it gets. In turn, Rich has to talk to Avi Klein's father on why Rich Masadi would be a better host than Avi Klein himself. And what we learned and what we're just finding out, what we didn't know, is Avi Klein's dad, Mr. Klein, Father Klein, Dad Klein, apparently is going through some health issues. So I want to say that, to say this from the bottom of my heart and from the WWAB and from me personally, the G.O.C. Our thoughts and prayers are with Avi Klein's family and one Mr. Klein. And without getting too personal, this is what you get here on the show, and this is what you get on Green Room and the WWAB, and from me personally, to see the other side of the reality of it. Our prayers and thoughts to Mr. Klein. So that's very, very important to mention that. We were unaware of that. Avi does not put his business out there. So in turn, what a question that was. And apparently Rich Masadi may have even visited Mr. Klein. Talk about family and unity. That's what you get here in the green room, even with competitors. We can be allies, we can be foes, we can be friends, we can be family. We can have disagreements, but we can all move past it and move forward and agree to disagree. What a moving tribute, a moving story. That's what Rich Masadi is all about. He's a special competitor. And remember, this is the good, the bad, the ugly, because I tell it like it is. So I'll say that to say this. In turn, Duke has to answer the same question. Talk to Avi's father on why he would be a better host than Avi himself. It was very, very entertaining. In turn, Duke's very witty. He really is an unbelievable guy. Now you know why he's such an influence in life. In turn, here, as we move on to the fourth different monologue promo combination, Rich has to say why he would be why the world, again, these questions hit home, and sometimes the fans think they crossed the line, but this is what you get. This is what Avi does. Rich has to answer here in the fourth challenge, why would the world be better if Duke was never born? What a question to ask someone that you're in the middle of a competition with, who's a longtime friend, that you have a connection with, but this is how it's gotten so personal and ugly with all the allegations that's going on in this war between Duke and Rich. What a question to ask, and Rich really said some harsh words and stuff that I'm not going to repeat here word for word. In turn, Duke had to answer the same question. Why would the world be a better place if Rich Masadi was never born? And it got real personal. For as much as there's mutual respect and history and the whole 9 yards, this has gotten emotional and heated and over the top and really a roller coaster of a ride in this matchup here in the main event. So we go to the votes here on a very strong and powerful segment and matchup in the main event of night 7. Pete, James, Avi obviously are the voters. Pete, out of the box, is very impressed by the powerful and the personalness of Duke, and Pete votes for Duke the Dumpster G.O.C. In turn, James from right guard is back as a judge, and he's very impressed by the attachment and the emotional tribute that Rich Masadi paid to his dad and just to his family. And so James from right guard votes for Rich. So it's 1-1. Pete for Duke, James for Rich. Avi is the deciding vote. Okay? So what they're going to do first before Avi decides to vote, because he's always spin the wheel, make the deal. Night 7 is no different in the main event. He goes to the fans. All the fans are voting. Now hundreds and hundreds of fans are still here to the main event of a 4-hour show as I come up here on almost 2 hours. We go to the fans, and all the votes are coming in, and I got to say, Rich Masadi is represented in the community like you wouldn't believe. All the votes that came in, Rich, Masadi, Rich Masadi. The votes that came in were overwhelming, but just as much, all the votes and supporters from Tennessee that came out for Duke, the Dumpster G.O.C, and all the people he's helped. So it's going back and forth. Rich, Duke, Rich, Duke, the Dumpster. Unbelievable. The fans, they pulled out, and that's why I'll say it here, even at the end of this show, almost 2 hours in, all your live votes matter. So here we go. The fans, ironically enough, in this crazy matchup in the main event, it's tied. So now Avi's vote means that much more. Again, Pete votes for Duke. James votes for Rich. The fans come up in a deadlock tie. Again, the votes are to be questioned. I don't know what's going on with the votes. I don't count them. I don't understand what's going on. Some are voted, some not voted. It got very heated. A lot of family members, a lot of people, a lot of followers, a lot of entertainers, a lot of different people in the chat room. A lot of people got crazy. A lot of people questioned the voting. I don't know what happened. A lot of people are insane, crazy to go on and on and on about these different things. And that's what happened during the main event and the voting and all the different things that come in. That's why all your live votes matter. And that's what happened on night 7, round 1. Maybe it came back. That's what happened. So Avi's the deciding vote, and no one saw this coming. I'm going to say that to say this because I tell it like it is here with my coverage of the Green Room Tournament of Night 7, Round 1. In the 8th matchup, the main event between Duke the Dumpster G.O.C from Road to Recovery and one Rich Masadi, a long-time grudge match and feud, and the emotion and passion of Rich. Out of nowhere, I didn't see this coming. I thought there was maybe some, animosity between Avi, Rich, Duke. I don't know how personal it got. Avi votes Rich. That's it. You can't believe it. Duke the Dumpster G.O.C, Road to Recovery, taking out the trash. And one of the most influential voice of WWE has been eliminated. Unbelievable. He's out of it. He's gone. He's been eliminated. Duke the Dumpster Droese was eliminated. Rich Masadi moves on to round 2. This was one of the true elimination matches of round 7. I cannot believe what happened. A true upset. This is as big as an upset as Stephen Lee defeating Paul Roma. Do you realize what happened here? We haven't seen such a big upset since night 1 in the one and done between Stephen Lee and pretty Paul Roma. From Maintaining the Truth every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Maintaining the Truth, Roma Nation. This is the next biggest upset. I can't believe it. Rich Masadi has gone on to the second round. It really was unbelievable. To end night 7 that way, as we're coming up on almost the 2-hour mark here on the review show of night 7, round 1, loaded with matchups and twists and turns and alleged eliminations and disqualifications and ties and debuts, and what an unbelievable night. And Rich moves on to round 2. Avi and Pete come on at the end after the main event. You know, Duke was gracious. I'll say that to say this. They certainly were. You know, Rich came out with some very spoken words, very strong fan support. Duke is class personified. That's why he's such a mainstay and such a draw wherever he goes as a person. A true class act. Duke the Dumpster Mike Droese. There's none better than Duke. And that's a shoot. And I know I keep saying that, but Rich moves on to round 2. Avi and Pete ended up, and they talk about what's coming up on night 8, round 1 on 4th of July weekend. I want you to think about that as we celebrate this country and the independence and all the craziness going on in this world. Let's have an escape and let's have some fun. Let's enjoy the green room on the WWAB. Every Saturday night live. You're not going to want to miss it. What a night 7 was. And night 8 will be July 3rd on 4th of July weekend. You're not going to want to miss it. All the matchups are going to be announced. And yes, my 4th matchup, unprecedented, history-making against Pinocchio Joe. I'll be 100% by Saturday night. We'll be back and have more announcements. Follow Avi. Follow all the people that are streaming. Follow everything. You know what the WWAB network is all about. 7 days a week live. Every Monday night with Ken Patera on the World's Strongest Podcast. Every Tuesday with the Double Dip and Breaking the Ice and Glacier Ray Lloyd. Face Value and Bill DeMott. Every Wednesday with Maintaining the Truth and Paul Roma. Every Friday with Duke the Dumpster Droese and Road to Recovery. Every Sunday with Unmasking the Truth and Del Wilkes. And soon, very, very soon to be announced, every Thursday night live, I believe we will be All Elite. Let that sink in. And of course, every Saturday night live, Avi Klein's Green Room Tournament rolls on. I'll say that to say this. As I struggle to get out of here, I hope everybody's appreciating it. Great night, great coverage. I'll be ready for night 8. All right, fans, you make it more than anything, and this is what I do to bring the coverage to you. Thank you, and remember, all your live votes matter. Don't you dare miss it.